All right, all right. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well today. It is Monday. It's another week for opportunities, and another week for new challenges. So I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are staying safe. My name is Ishmael. I'm the owner of Notary Services here in the state of Massachusetts. I've been a notary since 2017. So, I have a couple years, I have a few years under my belt. So today I want to talk to you guys about credible witness. I had someone who asked me during one of the last videos that I did. I had mentioned the credible witness part that I had to use during an appointment. So I figured since I had about maybe two or three people who asked me about that. So I figured I'll just do a quick video talking about what it is and just putting it out there. If anybody else that may have a question regarding it. Hopefully, I can answer your question now to this video here. So, first of all, as I always said, every notary should be staying up to date with the state laws. In order for you to be a successful notary within the industry, you must understand your state laws and it's your job to make sure you're up to date. It's not the signing company's job, it's not whoever you are going through training with job. It is your job for you to know what your state laws are, what you can and cannot do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the credible witness. What is it? When I've used it, and should you have them sign your journal? First of all, what is a credible witness? So a credible witness, according to this definition here, I'm just going to read it out. It is an honest, reliable, and impartial person who personally knows an individual appearing before a notary and takes an oath or affirmation from the notary to vouch for that individual's identity. So, the credible witness that's being used, they are presenting themselves to the notary and they are pretty much acknowledging, swearing to that the person who is signing that document is who they say they are. And to give you guys an example, right? As far as when I've used it, I had an appointment a couple months ago where when the person called me, they needed something notarized. So as I was going through my checklist, making sure they have the proper identification, she informed me that she did not have her ID. However, she needed to get the document signed and notarized for the RMV place. So, knowing my state laws, so I mentioned to her that, hey, here in Massachusetts, notaries do have the option of using a credible witness. This is why it's important to know your state laws, because if I was not aware of that, I would not have been able to inform her and provide the service that day. And then when I inform her, I'm like, hey, you can, a credible witness can be a friend, family, neighbor, whoever. That credible witness will need to have a valid ID. So she was able to get a relative who came by. So I went to the appointment. I got there. And I believe in that situation, she had her ID. The ID was just expired. So she had a photo ID. So I used that to identify who she was. However, I just couldn't use that as my primary identification source. So what happened in this situation? I fill out my journal. I put in her information. And then for the credible witness, I add them to my journal. So if you was wondering if you should ask a credible witness to your journal, I will highly recommend that. That's how I've done it. That's how I practice it. That's the safest method, at least on my end. So I included the credible witness information in the journal because I use the modern journal and I have an extra box where I can put, hey, this person was used as a credible witness for the above entry or the below entry, whichever way it falls in your journal. And then got to the document. She was able to sign it. She acknowledged it, and then the credible witness ended up taking an oath, pretty much vouching that the person who is signing this document is who they say they are. So in this situation like this, that's how I was able to use a credible witness. So pretty much in simplest term, credible witness is you using a third party during the notary appointment who is acknowledging to you that the person who is signing the document is who they say they are. It's simple as that. And for the credible witness, I identify them as well. Even though they are not signing the document, I still identify them. You must make sure you're identifying the credible witness. You have to make sure that they have a valid ID. Because if your signer doesn't have a valid ID, your credible witness doesn't have a valid ID, then you pretty much cannot be signing and notarizing it. And I would hope that you guys would not be notarizing a document where there's no valid ID. So identify the signer. You can use the expired ID at this point. You just cannot use it as a primary source because you are going to use the credible witness who is going to take an oath and say this signer is who they say they are. All right. And best practice for me, I always include the credible witness in my journal because God forbid something happened down the line, the signer never went and got an ID and they had to go to court. Notary had to appear in front of a judge and they ask you, hey, if this person didn't have a valid ID, why did you notarize the document? Because your state law requires a person to have a valid ID in order for you to notarize a document. In this situation, if you use a credible witness and you had your credible witness sign your journal, you can always refer back to it. Hey, we used a credible witness that day as someone who swore and affirmed that this signer is who they say they were at that time. And that's one way you can go about it. I just want to make it clear I'm not providing any legal advice. I'm just providing you, this is pretty much my method, how I will go about it. If anybody here in need of legal advice, I highly recommend that you contact your local attorney office for legal advice because I don't want folks to be there while matter and say I can use a credible witness. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you need to first know your state laws because my state may allow me to use it and your state don't. So knowing your state laws is very important here. So you will know what you can and cannot do. All right. So just a brief recap. Credible witness. You have an appointment, signer ID is expired, or they don't have an ID. And if your state allows you to use a credible witness, then you will apply that to that appointment. Credible witness shows up, they show you their valid ID, driver's license, US passport. If they have a military card, you can use a military card. I believe you can use a Canada driver's license or a Mexico driver's license. You identify the credible witness, put them in your journal, have them sign your journal, make a note in your journal saying that you are using this person as a credible witness for this signing. All right. And if you have to include an acknowledgement form, an acknowledgement certificate, or a jurat certificate on that particular document, the page on the page where it asks you what source of identification was used to identify the signer, in that instant you will put credible witness because you did not use the signer's expired ID as a primary source of identification. You end up using the credible witness. So if you are attaching a certificate to it, that's what you would put where it says, what did you use for signer's identification? Again, know your state laws, study your state laws. Again, know your state laws because you have to see if that applies to your state. Um, that's pretty much what a credible witness is. You're just using another person to verify the signer. So if I was at an appointment, I don't have an ID, I bring a friend with me, and I introduce you guys, and my friend is there to vouch, saying that I am who I said I am while I'm signing this document. That's all it is. It's not complicated, but you must know if you can apply it within your state. So do some research today. Go up to you. Well, look at your Secretary of State information based on notary laws and see if you are able to apply as credible witness. That's one way that I know that I've done from my experience from having to call the Secretary of State here in my state to ask them information about it. That's how I was informed, and that's how I've been able to use that in certain situations. So that's it. That's all for credible witness. If you guys have any comments, drop your comment in the comment box below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate the support. Hope you guys have a great day.